Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another round of surprising mechanics you didn't know existed, or at least may have forgot about. And I'm starting out with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So someone pointed out to me in a comment, or they said that they thought it was surprising and just a nice touch that this AOE dispels debuffs from all dark side allies, not just First Order. And I thought that was pretty clear. I always noticed that, but if people didn't notice that, that's something to notice. But one thing that is more important to notice is the word First Order does not appear in his kit anywhere. So just go check. Go to SWGOH, do Control F. There's no mention of First Order in the entire kit. Whenever a dark side ally. Yeah, like everything is just dark side allies. Whenever a dark side ally loses turn meter, they gain 10% max health, max protection. They lose turn meter, they're gaining it. So he is a flexible galactic legend. He's a dark side galactic legend. That's why on Dathomir in Rise of the Empire TB, I don't have a full first order team to throw with him, and I don't care because he works well with just normal dark side allies. And he hurts them for turn meter gain, which is probably the most harmful part of his kit. The thing I already showed here a bit, I think people forget this. So when he was more common in Squad Arena, I had trouble calculating like how fast I needed to be with teams to get past him and I didn't know why. And it's because whenever a dark side ally gains advantage, they get these bonuses, and healers and sports gain turn meter, but he doesn't give advantage up for any reason at the start of the battle. And it was actually Hux that does it. So at the start of the battle, Hux gives advantage up. So if you're using Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on offense and you don't have Hux with you, you're not going to get this turn meter gain. You're not going to get the automatic taunts. And you're not going to get the critical damage up for attackers at the start either. So just some interesting stuff with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. I don't think his kit is super complicated, but I think people can miss that there's no First Order synergy there. Direct synergy. I know dark side allies and advantage is big on First Order, but yeah, no direct synergy. Next is Galactic Legend Ray, and there's not too much to point out here, but I did want to point out that she has kind of the similar thing going on to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and that her kit does not mention resistance at all. It only mentions light side allies. And unlike Supreme Leader Kylo with his his advantage stuff, which kind of indirectly works with First Order, there's nothing particularly resistance related about her kit. That's why she's like the ultimate light side galactic legend, and she's so useful. One thing I think is surprising and forgettable about her kit is that light side allies with either inspired or damage immunity can't have their turn meter reduced. So that is important because if you're using Starkiller and you inflict stagger, it's not going to do anything unless you get inspired off of them. And inspired is also how you're gaining mastery on your team. So you need to be inspired as a light side ally to gain mastery, and then you're getting 5% whenever an enemy gains bonus turn meter. So if you're using Jedi Master Luke to counter her, do not spam the special ability with Hoda. I did that once, forgot, and then her ultimate was insane because I just gave turn meter over and over, and it gave it to everyone. So that was 5 times. That was 25% mastery every time I did it. So those are a couple things I think people might forget about with her. Next, we got C-3PO, and kind of like Bastila Fallen, but to a higher degree, he's got a lot of uniques. He is Mr. Unique. He has the most uniques in the game, bar none, with 5 of them. It's crazy. Before he came out, talks of him coming out, I was like, why would you have him in the game? What's he going to do? This is like a combat game. Also, I didn't notice he has a gray or silver leg at the bottom. I thought he was all gold. Anyway, I'm going to look at each unique a little bit. The Protocol Droid one, first of all, it's surprising he gets 20 speed. I've forgotten about that many times. And this is just the one that gives out translation. So that is not too surprising, except for the 20 speed. This is an R2-D2 unique. This is just for him and R2-D2. They get evasion for their translation. And at the start, C-3PO and R2-D2 gain one translation. Okay, so they just get one translation there. And the rest of these 3 is for Galactic Republic, Rebels, and Resistance specifically. Or Ewoks. I think he works well with Ewoks for all of these, which is kind of funny. That's why you see him with Ewoks in Conquest. He's just giving defense penetration to everyone. This isn't just Galactic Republic. But when Galactic Republic allies gain a non-unique, non-protection buff, they're getting protection up. So that works really well with Padme. He's also giving them extra defense penetration. So Ewoks will get 30, Galactic Republic will get 20%, and everyone else will get 10% defense penetration, which isn't much. And this is the Rebel Clause. This is probably the most useful one out of the faction specific. It's inflicting expose on target enemy, which can't be evaded, can be resisted, but whenever they use a basic ability, and it gives out 10%. It gives out potency, so it's like 3, 2, 1 for Ewoks, Rebels, and normal allies with the potency. But by far, I think the exposes are most useful there. And then Fretful Mediator, this is the Resistance Clause. So it follows 3, 2, 1 rule for Ewoks, Resistance, and normal allies with crit damage. And this is, I had never noticed this before. Whenever Resistance or Ewok uses their special ability, like they only have one, uses their special ability, they inflict offense down for 2 turns on the target, which can't be evaded. You don't use him with the Resistance much, so that you don't see that much. I have been using him in Conquest, or not Conquest, Territory Battle with Resistance. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that happening. That does help reduce damage, especially in a high damage environment like TB. But yeah, C-3PO, very dense kit, a lot of stuff to miss or forget about. Next up, I'm looking at OG Lightside Bastila, who, unlike her Darkside counterpart, doesn't have 3 uniques. She does have the leader ability, which is beautiful in its simplicity. But she does have 2 uniques, which can be missed a little bit what they do. This is not as good as Bastila Shan Fallen's. It's the same thing with her and Revan, where she's giving extra stats, but it's accuracy, 70% accuracy, potency, and tenacity. I mean, I guess it's nice, but it's not flashy like damage or just pure survivability. And then when Darth Revan's there, she's getting advantage and retribution at the start of its turns, but that's not really helping much. Legendary Battle Meditation is more what I wanted to talk about because it's very helpful. She gives everyone else Legendary Battle Meditation at the start of her turn, which I think is very helpful. Very underrated. So she is a great support character to throw in most squads because these stats are doubled for Jedi. She's given 100% potency and 70% counter chance. So that's a lot of potency and a lot of counter chance. It's very helpful. It's almost like retribution and potency up. And their basic is, it has a lot of potency as well because it has 20% potency for each active Jedi ally. That really helps in like the counter to Supreme Leader Kylo under Jedi Knight Revan with Jedi Knight Luke. When you need to ability block them, she's got plenty of potency on that basic for that ability block. For Echo, first there's a small but funny one on his basic. It says he deals 15% more damage. First, when he has critical damage up. First of all, wow, 15%, like, too generous. But second of all, he doesn't get critical chance up anywhere, like with his team. With Shaak Ti or General Skywalker, it's just not there. The other thing I wanted to point out that is surprising, and you can miss it, is when enemies evade attacks from clone troopers, he deals 20% of their max health damage to them. So that's pretty nice. I mean, even if they're evading, he's dealing that extra damage. And then he works well with 5s. When him and 5s are together, this is mostly in 5v5. 3v3, you don't want Echo and 5s. He's dealing 100% more damage while 5s is taunting, and it has extra defense when 5s isn't. So just some interesting mechanics for Echo. Next, I'm looking at Sith Marauder. He's mostly a simple character. He only has 3 abilities. He deals good damage, but he has a lot of survivability kick in, a lot of other stuff. So he gets 10% defense, health steal, and tenacity for each buff on all characters. So this is the thing I miss the most, and when I would take like Jedi Master Kenobi against him, he's so survivable. He has so much defense because you have so many buffs on your team. Like, I think protection up, stacks, it's like you have different sets of protection up, so he is getting so much defense from that, and then he has so much health steal from that when he even tickles someone, he heals all the way back up. So I mean, I'm talking about like a Malgus team where he has the survivability. And then he also gains crit chance, offense, and potency, 2% each for each debuff on all characters. So like that works super well under Darth Revan. That's why he can stack his damage up to like over 100,000, 150,000 something on his special. It's because of all that ferocity on everyone, which is a debuff, but it's not really that detrimental. But under Malgus, you notice his survivability because of if you're going against him with a buff heavy team. Under Death Revan, you're noticing his damage. Last character I want to look at today is Hunter, and as the leader of the Bad Batch, you know he's good, you know they're doing a lot of good stuff. I think a lot of people notice, they're very familiar with the defense up true damage aspect, and maybe not intimately familiar with the stat bonuses, but they have stat bonuses there. The thing I forgot about the most is this turn meter removal. So when damaging an enemy with exposed, Bad Batch allies remove 50% turn meter from them, doubled for droid and separatists. So this actually almost hurt me on offense when I was facing Nest a while ago. I just like kept removing turn meter, and I didn't really know why it was happening, and I didn't have enough time to like study the kit. I was like, I don't even know where to look. I don't even, I can't even like, well, you can look at his leadership on his turn. But yeah, I didn't know what was happening. But if you're not facing Nest, that's very, very useful. Turn meter removal is always helpful. Also, when they have evasion up, they got 50% critical avoidance. So that's really nice. And when targeting a target locked enemy, they can't be countered. So those are a couple clauses I don't notice. They're not as obvious because they're not always being triggered. So maybe you forgot about them, maybe not. But I definitely didn't notice them, and I forgot about them before. So that's it for this one. Really been enjoying doing this little mini series on surprising mechanics. Let me know if there's some surprising mechanics you think people miss or forget or are very helpful, and maybe you've been reaping the benefits but you haven't noticed and you don't know why something's happening. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.